everyone. I hope you're doing well. We are back once again with another Amazon seller journey. Today, I've been joined by Jasmine, who you might recognize from TikTok under the name of Jazz FBA. I'm right, aren't I? That's the right
Yeah.
name. Yeah, awesome. So Jasmine, thank you for joining me. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. So usually with these, we like to dive right into it. So tell us a little bit about you. Tell us a little bit about, just paint us a picture of who Jasmine is, and tell us a little bit as well about your business.
Yeah, no, of course. So I'm Jasmine. I'm 20. I've been doing Amazon FBA for just under 2 years now. And it's been a journey, to say the least. It's been a wild journey. I never thought if you asked me 5 years ago, will you ever run a business? I would have said, no, never going to happen. I'm not generally like that. I don't really like doing them kind of things, too much pressure. But I couldn't imagine my life without FBA now. It's like second nature to
Yeah.
me. But a bit about me, I'm a very simple person, very simple girl. I kind of got wrapped up in the party lifestyle when I turned 18 and, kind of went with the flow. You turn 18, you can drink, you can do what you want to do, and you go kind of wild. And I did that. And it wasn't good for me. It wasn't good for mental health. It wasn't good for me at all. And one of my very, very good friends, still to this day, said to me, Jasmine, why don't you look into starting a business? And I was like, I can't do that. It's not going to happen. Like, I can't handle that. I like this too much. Like, I can't do it. And then he said Amazon FBA to me. And I was like, let me research into this. What's the harm of me actually doing a quick Google search and be like, what's Amazon FBA?
Mm.
And I looked into it. And that's when I kind of found out what it was. And I looked into like mentors and people's stories, jumped on TikTok, seeing what people were doing about it. And it didn't look as hard as it actually is. It looked fairly simple. And I was like, what's the harm? So that's kind of how I got into it. And I was lucky enough to start with a decent amount of money. I had a good amount of savings at the time. And then I borrowed some money from my friend at the exact same period. So I went straight into wholesale. I kind of didn't mess around with it. Like I kind of went straight into wholesale. And it was only when I hit certain milestones, like my first 1K week, then 5K week, then 20K month. And then, I started hitting crazy numbers and I was like, oh, hold up. I can actually do something here. That this might work. I can do something here. And I kind of just fell in love with the business model. And I kind of gave it my all. But I'm just a simple person. I just like running businesses. I get the thrill now when I start a new business. I'm like, this is fun. Like it's a new challenge for me. I'm constantly looking for a new challenge. I shouldn't. I should kind of just enjoy my life, but I love that new challenge, that feeling of running a business and being successful in it. But yeah,
Yeah.
kind of what.
Well, I mean, you're driven and it makes sense because that's why you are doing what you're doing now. And so just on the back of like some of the things that you said there, firstly, the sort of like transition that you made from like the party animal lifestyle to getting into Amazon, did you find that like fairly easy? Like once you were told about Amazon FBA and you looked into it, like did you find that transition period like easy? Like was it a case of sort of like slowly coming out of it, or did you just like go, right, this is what I'm going to do, and then cut a load of different bits and bobs off and then get started?
Well, it was not an easy transition. It was something where at the beginning of starting Amazon FBA, I really didn't want to start Amazon FBA. It was just kind of being done because someone said it to me and I was like, what's the harm of trying it? But a lot of my friends at the time didn't understand what I was doing because again, they knew the party Jasmine, they knew the fun Jasmine, the one that didn't take life so serious. And then I suddenly made this major change in my life where I'm like, no, I can't come out. I'm sourcing tonight, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that, or I'm busy today. And it was a drastic change in my life. And just when I started off with it, I was like, I don't want to do this. I want to be going out with my friends. I want to be socializing until I started seeing the rewards. That's when I was like, okay, this could work. I actually prefer this over doing that. That I'm wasting money. This I'm making myself into a better individual and making money is better for me. So it wasn't an easy transition. And it probably didn't help the people that were around me at the time because the people around me weren't entrepreneurs, they weren't business owners, they were just 18, 19-year-olds having fun. But once that transition completely happened, I was in my business era of my life, then I couldn't think about going out. Like it was the last thing I wanted to do. I wanted to work, I wanted to hustle. That's all I cared about. So
Yeah.
that's, yeah, basically.
So now that you've like built it up and you are where you are now, like how do you divide your time up? As in, do you still so like now that you've like established yourself, like do you still have times where like you will like do those sorts of things, like you've still got enough time for socializing and stuff whilst like keeping your business sort of like running? Like, do you find it easy to divide that time up?
Yeah, it's funny you say that because actually only recently have I started being more social, and all my friends and family can say to this. I was literally MIA. No one would hear from me. You asked me to come out, I'd say no. Up until very recently, where I was like, I actually have worked extremely hard. My businesses are doing very well, and I've put things in place to try automate it as much as I possibly can. So
Mhm.
let me try and enjoy my life again. So,
Yeah.
you're still my Instagram and social media that occasionally you'll find me out doing something crazy or wild. And it's nice to have that balance. But I think a lot of people think, oh, when you become a business owner, you automatically get that lifestyle with it. And it's not how it happens. You have to really build yourself. You have to sacrifice a lot. And then when the lifestyle comes back, it's more rewarding. You feel happier about it and you can actually enjoy yourself. You don't have to worry about the normal stresses that a normal person would have, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I have now started to find that balance again, and I've started to enjoy going out and socializing again. But
Mhm.
if you asked me like 6 months ago, I'd have said, no, it's not going to happen. You won't find me out. Like, it's not going to happen. But yeah.
No, I mean it's good to hear because you like I mean this is essentially like part of what you'll have been working towards, like you know, being stable, um, and getting to that point whereby you can automate like various functions in your business. You've got like people working with you and such. And so then that's when you can like actually sort of like kick back and reap the rewards and feel amazing about it because of what you've done to get there. Um, and so just sort of like throwing it back a little bit to like when you were starting out and such, like, are you okay to share how much like you got started with?
Yeah, so I believe if I can recall, I think I started with I think it was £6,000. So I
Right.
had a decent amount to start off with. I was lucky in that sense, which is why I didn't waste any time going into OA. But
Mhm.
after I had used that £6,000, I didn't invest any more. I kind of tried reusing it
Yeah.
until I had more money where I was like, okay, let me put some more money when an opportunity came about. But that's like one of my biggest things I'd say is I reused my money a lot. A lot of people are going to think you start a business, you invest, you make profit, you can take it out. It's not like that with Amazon. Amazon does not work like that. If you don't want to continuously be investing, you need to be using that money, taking it out and reusing it, taking it out and reusing it, and then putting money in when an opportunity comes around. So yeah, so I was lucky enough to start with, I want to say about 6K, but yeah, that I know a lot of people start with way less, and that's you can still make Amazon work with way less. But yeah, I was lucky enough to do that. I had a good bit of savings going on there.
And so since then, it's been wholesale through and through.
Yeah, wholesale through and through. And I actually implemented RA and OA, not RA, sorry, just OA, like 6 or 7 months ago. I got a VA and I just allowed them to do that. So I didn't waste any time doing it. I just got VAs in place and they do it just to boost up the profit and so on and so forth. But because I went to wholesale from the get-go, like online arbitrage I didn't feel like I needed to really spend time doing it because I had that opportunity there. And of course, wholesale is about replenishables, it's more rewarding, you're on a bigger scale, and I was able to do that. But online arbitrage is still a very, very good opportunity if you can give the time to it. Because online arbitrage, unless you have VAs or you have softwares doing it for you, you're going to be on that computer for a long time, scrolling through all these websites, finding the deals and so on and so forth. But I've done retail arbitrage a few times, and it's fun. It's interesting until you start getting looks from like the workers there, like, what?
Yeah,
Why are
yeah.
they signing things? What are you doing? And I was like, I don't like this. I don't like being stared at. But yeah, so that's I was wholesale through and through, and then now I've gone on to private label as well. So I'm starting my private label journey.
Yeah. So how have you found like getting into private label and such? Like,
I think my end goal when I found out how scalable Amazon was always going to be private label because it's
yeah.
the one that is you can scale it to another level. It's a whole new game. But it's been fun. It's been interesting learning a new section of Amazon to say the least. But my life's just been so busy recently. I haven't been able to dedicate as much time as possible. But it has been fun. It's interesting. It brings the thrill back to Amazon. So yeah.
And so for anyone that is out there that's interested in getting into the wholesale model, what would be like your top tips for them?
Stay consistent. Okay. You're going to get turned away by a lot of wholesalers. They're not going to want to work with you. But don't let that put you off the idea. Okay. Because you might speak to 10 wholesalers in a week and 8 might turn you away, but 2 might open accounts with you and them 2 might have them profitable products you need. You just need to stay consistent and you stay determined. And also, wholesalers don't like hearing you're an Amazon seller, unfortunately. So you need to know how to kind of play the game with them and you need to know how to speak to them. Create a website, make yourself look legitimate, have an LTD. Don't be a sole trader, have an LTD, have everything backing you up to make sure you look serious. And a lot of people always expect a discount on their first order. It's
Yeah.
not going to happen. Don't expect the discount. You'll get that discount when you start working with them for a long time. I worked with wholesalers for months upon months, making crazy amount orders, and they were not giving me a discount. And then one day they'd say, "Oh, Jasmine, we threw a 15% discount on for you." And I say, "Oh, great, that's amazing." But it comes with law. They want to see your loyalty to them, and then they'll be loyal back to you. But it's just consistency. Wholesale isn't easiest, and it is like for me, I hated speaking to people on the phone. I absolutely despised it. Like I just didn't like it. But you have to pick up the phone and you have to speak to them. They're not going to respond to your emails. They get hundreds of emails on a daily basis of people asking the same thing. Unless you're the one who constantly picks the phone up and say, "Can I speak to a manager? Can I, I want to open an account. This is what I'm doing. I'm interested in this." You're not going to get anywhere with them. You just have to step out your comfort zone. But the more wholesalers you speak to, the more you'll know what they want to hear and what they don't want to hear and what you need to say to people. And you'll kind of, make notes after every conversation. I was on them wholesale calls and I'd say something and they'd be like, "Oh, we don't supply to people like that." And I make a note. Okay, they didn't like when I said that. I won't say that next time. But it's just you'll get the hang of it. It's just consistency. It is just consistency.
And I guess part of that as well is like you don't like calling people. And to be fair, it's not my favorite thing either. But it's just one of the things like no one's out there actively looking to like make you money. You've got to make your money. So they're not going to like just like fall in lap and approach and go, "Oh, hey, by the way, do you want to work with us and we'll supply you with products." Like you've got to go and do that.
Yeah,
Uh,
no doubt. So
yeah.
yeah.
And so when you talk, so you mentioned like getting turned away by wholesalers and such. Are there sort of like any other like notable like problems, whether it's something that happened ages ago, maybe something that happened recently that you've come across and like an example of a problem and how you've overcome it?
So a lot of wholesalers won't work with non-VAT registered people. That is a big thing. They don't want to work with non-VAT registered people for their own reasons, which is perfectly fine. You won't be able to get around that until you go non-VAT registered, unfortunately. So my advice to that is anyone who you contact and they say we're not going to work with you, make a note of them. And then when you hit over that 85,000K threshold and you've got your VAT number, go back and say, "I've got this, 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 this. Can we start a thing with them?" When I turned VAT registered ages ago, I remember I had like a list of like 20, 30 people that turned me away ages ago. And I was like, "I'm going to call all of you back up and I'm going to get these accounts open with you." And they didn't have any problems at that point. They were like, "Yeah, open the account." But other than that, that's the only biggest thing you're going to come across. They don't like working with Amazon sellers. And if you're not VAT registered, that's the two things. The Amazon seller problem, you can create websites and you can make yourself look like a wholesaler yourself. And then when you approach them, you say, "I'm actually a wholesaler. My current wholesaler isn't meeting my demands, which is why I've come to you." And then they'll ask you for your website link and then have like a trade area on your website where people can have trade inquiries. Of course, the website's just going to be there for show,
Yeah.
but it's what they want to see. It's what they want to hear. Especially when you're going to like a specific niche. That's when they want to see it.
Yeah. No, all of that sounds like really good advice. So I really appreciate that. And so like when you became like VAT registered and stuff, like how did you sort of like cope with adjusting to that? Because it's something that is there all the time. Like you've got to acknowledge that all the time. So how did you sort of like deal with that?
Well, that was the one thing I probably wish I did better in my businesses is someone telling me when you go VAT registered, you're going to lose half of your stock portfolio and it's going to go. And now what I say to all of my students is when you start hitting the 60K point, especially if you're doing wholesale full time, when you start hitting the 60K sales point, start filtering out them products that are no longer going to be profitable for you. And I wish I did that earlier because then when I got hit with that VAT registered and I was starting to get closer to that period, my products portfolio was just dropping like flies. And I was just like, I've now got to start from scratch again and build it up. Okay, cool. When you get VAT registered, opportunities open up for you. That's natural, but it's something not a lot of people talk about. Just be prepared. It's going to come around fast. It is going to come around fast, especially if you're doing wholesale full time. But yeah.
Exactly. Um, Yeah. In regards to, so I'm just sort of like picking up things that you've said before. Um, when it comes to sort of like virtual assistants, when did you sort of like realize, oh, I need a virtual assistant to help me with with my business? And what was some of the things that you sort of like put in place in order to make that happen? So as well as it just being because obviously there's an aspect of it whereby it's, someone else could really be doing this task, but then there's obviously other things like having, enough money set aside to pay them, and you obviously got to have criteria and certain things that someone would have to meet in order to be hired by you. So what's some of those things that you had in place?
Yeah, so I actually outsourced all of my VAs because I don't have the time to sit there and train them, unfortunately. So I outsourced all of them via FBA Nation and Fast Track FBA. So they're the two people I would definitely recommend if you wanted to get OA VAs and wholesale VAs. In terms of when I thought it was a good time to get a VA, I think I could have got them way earlier. I probably could
Yeah.
have. I was just avoiding taking that expense on.
Mm.
Of course, you can get VAs from the Philippines, and yeah, they work for cheaper. That's fine, but it's still an expense. If you're not profitable enough, you don't want to be doing that. Just hustle and work and do it on your own for a while. But I'd say it matters on the situation. If you're doing OA purely and you only want your VA to focus on OA, then it would be worth getting a VA and making, especially if you're not VAT registered, because the opportunities for them open up way more. If you're VAT registered doing OA, it's actually very difficult to find profitable products over the 30% ROI point. It is a lot of hard work. And at that point, you have to weigh up, is she bringing me more money or am I just losing money at this point?
Mhm.
Because that's something you have to look into. But it's going to be based on each individual if you're willing to take on that cost, if you have the time to do it yourself. Because I know a lot of people use Amazon as a side hustle and not a full-time career like I did. So if you're doing a side hustle and you want to get that extra help and the extra money, then yeah, it might be worth it. But again, it's based on everyone's kind of situation.
So having virtual assistants now for a few months, is it?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, a while now, about half a year.
Uh,
It's definitely been life-changing. Not, I wouldn't say life-changing, but a definite helping hand. Like
yeah.
when you don't have time to do jobs, you can just say this needs to get done. They know what to do. They're really helpful. They are definitely on their stuff. Like they're good at what they do. And the thing I liked about Fast Track FBA when I went to them and sourced it from them was they have a 12-week guarantee where, let's say, for example, you don't gel with your VA very well, or they're not getting it, they're not understanding it, you have that 12-week guarantee and they'll swap it out for you for completely free. So I like that aspect. But again, you can go through the process and hire a VA yourself, and you can go through the training process and so on and so forth. That is something I walk through with all my students. I do that. But I just didn't have the time at that specific moment. I just didn't have the time. It was just not going to happen. So I just outsourced it. But yeah.
With managing them and such, like just catching up with them, like setting the criteria, just making sure they're doing what they do. Like how do you go about that? Like how often do you have like meetings, for example?
For the first couple of weeks, I was on call with my VAs every single day because
Yeah.
to check their deals with them, make sure they know what they're doing. They're learning as well as you're learning them. So that's what's going on. And then after that, once a week, I speak to my VAs on WhatsApp probably every day.
Mhm.
You have group chats with them, you speak to them, they'll tell you if something's going on. But you need to understand that when you have a VA, you can't just leave them to it. You have to still check they're meeting what they need to do on an hourly rate. So like, for example, you can say to your VA, we want you to be looking at 30 deals per hour, right? But you need to make sure that they're actually looking at 30 deals per hour and you don't get lenient with them. You have to still stay on top of them because, like any individual working a job, after a while, you get comfortable and you start getting a bit lazy. You don't want that to happen. So you need to stick to that. You need to stick to that criteria. Have some incentives for them. Have a bonus at the end of the month if they hit a certain amount of profit. Have something that's going to make them work harder and keep you on their back as well. Just
Mhm.
don't get lazy with it. It's gonna be my advice.
Yeah, no, that's really good advice because I say much the same in like any videos that I've done about sort of like managing virtual assistants and stuff. So there you go. You've literally got it from Jasmine there. Managing there's lots to managing a virtual assistant, but obviously keeping on top of it, sort of like checking in with them and such just ensures that they're going to be doing a good job and therefore you're going to be feeling
It's
feeling the fruits of that.
Yeah, it's very easy to lose track of your business and realize you're actually making a loss. It's very easy if you get lenient with it, especially Amazon FBA. If you're not on it 24/7, you can come back in a few weeks' time and think, oh my God, I've just lost hundreds and hundreds of pounds because I got lazy with it. Especially if you're taking on the cost of getting a VA and then getting lenient, that's literally a recipe for disaster sometimes. So just don't do it.
And talking of things that sort of like age your business now automate certain functions, would you mind just talking me through the softwares and such that you use to help you out?
Yes, I have a lot of softwares. So I'll run through all the softwares I have. So I have Keeper, BuyBotPro, Jungle Scout, Profit Protector Pro, Skewify. What else? I think I have one. I honestly can't remember. I have a lot of softwares, but stuff like Profit Protector Pro, like that's gonna help you automate your business because you're not manually having to go in every single day. I remember when I was manually going in every single day and repricing my product. And oh my God, it was stressful because, you know, that buy box changes every hour, if not every few minutes. So you've really got to be on your stuff to do that. But also a new one, you guys have come out with sellability, right? And sellability is something that helps you automate like online arbitrage so much more. And some of my students actually signed up with sellability and they're loving it. They're enjoying it. So that's one that was definitely needed in this FBA space because there was ones out there, but they were either too complicated to use or they were just too broad. They'd bring you a lot of crap suggestions.
Yeah.
So it was definitely needed. But yeah, that's some of the stuff that I do use.
And the question that I ask everyone, and it is a very important question, do you have a favorite repricing strategy in Profit Protector Pro?
So if you asked me when I first started Amazon, I would have said the balance sales accumulator because my main concern was getting my money in and out of Amazon so I can reuse it. That's what my concern was. Profit was important. And although the sales accumulator does focus on sales, you're getting profit at the end of the day. You are making something. But now I'm all about profit. So it has to be the passive profit maximizer. So
Nice.
any profit base, I have to go to that because like I have the money now if I needed to reinvest stuff. Like that's not a problem for me anymore. But at the beginning, for any beginner, you don't want your money sitting there. You want it in and out of Amazon as fast as possible, reuse that money, get in again, go again. That you don't want your money in your products just sitting there. Don't do that. So yeah, that's
I always find that question like really interesting to ask because like
everyone has different
people
answers,
say
don't
different
they?
things.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about because like all the strategies that are in there, it's designed so that the way there is like something for everyone. But the passive one isn't like it's not when I've asked the others on these interviews, it's been aggressive, balanced. I think someone said the cautious salesman answer, but you're my first to say the passive profit maximizer. So
Profit.
big
Profit's
love
what
for that
matters.
passive profit maximizer.
Profit is what matters now. But yeah.
Awesome. Um, cool. And so, what I want to do now is move on to the bit of these sessions that everyone loves, whereby we implement that entertainment aspect, whereby it's literally me just asking you whatever comes into my mind. Um, so, I mean, so right at the start, you talked about the sort of like party lifestyle and stuff, and obviously you've come away from that, but you still like to go out and socialize and such. So, um, two questions: club or bar?
Oh wow.
And what is your sort of like go-to drink if you have one?
Okay. Club or bar? I'm gonna have to say bar because I don't like getting pushed in the club anymore.
Yeah.
When someone pushes you, you're like, did you not just see me standing there? So yeah, I'm gonna have to say bar, but not like any bar, like a lively bar, you know, where you can, yeah. So I'm gonna have to say
Yeah.
bar.
I'm very much inclined to agree with you. Like the pushing thing, I didn't think it would be a problem because, like me, I'm 6'3", so I would have thought that everyone would just sort of like not
See you
push
for
me. Like,
distance.
don't whatever you do, don't push that tall guy. But what do? They go and push me even more. So it's definitely a bar for me now.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely. I feel like back in the day, I loved it. I loved being there and I loved partying in the middle of all of it. But now I just can't do it. I just,
Old before our time.
yeah, definitely. Oh, and
And so
favorite drink.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm probably just gonna have to go vodka and cranberry, like so basic. But it's because you can't taste the alcohol. That's why. And I feel like that's what everyone says when you have vodka and cranberry, you just can't taste the alcohol. So yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
I mean, it's the same thing. Like anyone that goes for like Copperbergs and is it the Strongbow dark fruits and stuff? Like it does not taste like alcohol whatsoever. But
Yeah, but
then
when I
you sort of
started,
underestimate. You think, oh, this tastes like juice, so I'll just drink like a lot more of it.
yeah, but when I started Amazon FBA and I got really serious in it, I completely gave up drinking. I
Right.
completely clean diet. I was at the gym, was really like on health because I had to be like focused all
Yeah.
the time. So when I went back to drinking, and again, I was like a lightweight, couldn't handle my stuff. So then I would just opt to not drink because I was just like, I'm not going to remember what's going on here. Let's just opt to not drink. So when I drink, I have to be in a really good mood to be drinking. But if I was, it'd have to be vodka and cranberry.
How long did you go without
Oh my
that?
God, I'd say probably like 6 to 8 months with completely. So I went from drinking probably all the time to not drinking at all, like opting out of it. And again, I was still seeing my friends who would drink. And I'd be in environments where, I would opt out to drinking and people were looking and be like, why are you not drinking? Have like let loose, have fun. But I knew that if I drank that day, if let's say for a Saturday, my Sunday is going to be a waste because I'm not getting my stuff done. And I wasn't willing to do that. I was on focus, I was on grind mode, and no one was going to stop me. It was just me against me. You hear the quote where it's like, me, it's you against you, or it's me against me. And it really was me against me at that moment. And I was gonna get to the point I wanted to get to with or without my friends. So that was how it was going to be. I lost a lot of friends in the process. I fell out with loads of people and lost a lot of people because they didn't understand where I was coming from. And a lot of entrepreneurs and both business owners will understand that feeling because it does get lonely. It's going to be a lonely journey. But that's when you network and you find people that are on the same wavelength as me. My friendship group now is very small, but they're all in the same wavelength as me. They all know what they want to do. They all are business owners themselves. So that is something that you have to be willing to sacrifice. You're gonna start to close these people off. You got to have a strong unit around you. You have to. But
Yeah.
yeah.
It's that classic quality over quantity thing.
100%. But when
Yeah.
I was younger, when you're younger and you're in your like prime, you don't realize that. You just want to have a big social group. So you have loads of people to speak to and talk to, and you want your life to be busy all the time. But now I honestly don't mind having a small friendship group because they're the people that would pull through for me, support my dreams. They would be there at the end of it. I remember when I first started my journey, like my friends would be like, Jasmine, we'll pack with you, we'll do it with you, and for nothing. And I'm like, that's the people that stuck by my side at the end of it. They saw me through the start to the end. And yeah, you just have to find people with the same mindset as you. You can't be on, I'm going to get my money and I'm going to be up, and then be with someone who is wasting their money and doesn't have the same outlook on life as you. You're just not going to see eye to eye. And it's not worth having that drama in your life. You need to stay focused.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so like obviously it sounds like self-care is like a massive thing for you, and obviously too right. Do you sort of like have any other sort of like things that you do that come under that umbrella of like self-care, like any like routines and stuff that you have, anything that you like to do?
Gym has probably been one of the most life-changing things for me. And just like taking care of myself. Like I know now when I need a break, a social break, I will take that social break because otherwise I'm just a ticking time bomb and I'm gonna go off in a second. Obviously, Jazz FBA is a very social job. When Jazz FBA wasn't around, I was just an FBA seller. It was easier because you don't have that other side of it. But now I'm teaching people and helping others and speaking to a lot of young females on a daily basis, just giving them advice, FBA advice, business advice, life advice. It becomes very socially draining. And a lot of the other mentors out there that I speak to will agree. Like it is very hard. And I think like people we teach underestimate that side of it. But I think gym is probably the biggest thing. I've actually just signed up to do the 5K for cancer research in June.
Nice. Right.
I'm not a runner, guys. I'm not a runner. I'm a weightlifter. I like lifting my weights. I'm not a runner, but I'd like a challenge. And I was a runner back in like my school days. I loved a good long distance run. So I signed up to that with one of my very good friends, and I'm very excited. I started my training for it now, and it's just a new challenge. It's just a new thing I can push myself at. And one thing about me is I love being in uncomfortable situations. I don't and I do, but I think for an entrepreneur, it just becomes so natural for you that you have to be in an uncomfortable situation and you just run with it. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited to do that in June. That's exciting. I turned 21 in June as well. So it's like my 21st birthday present to me.
21st birthday present doing a 5K run.
Yeah. We'll see how it ask me after and I'll tell you how I feel about it. And you
Um,
would have been nicer.
when we talked before, just touching briefly on something you mentioned just a little bit ago. When we talked before, one of the things that you said was that it was quite important to you to sort of like inspire and instruct other women in the space and get them into it. Since you started selling on Amazon, but between then and now, like, do you feel like you've seen a growth in the amount of women that get involved with Amazon?
Oh, 100%. Oh, absolutely, 100%. But not just Amazon, in terms of any business. I see women really stepping out their comfort zone now, being a single mom or being an 18-year-old or being someone with a full-grown family. Like, it is incredible. I love it. That's exactly why I started Jazz FBA. I was happy to stay under the radar. No one know who I am. I was happy to do that. It's a lot being out there, being publicly out there and having your whole life out there. It's very hard. But Amazon FBA is a very male-dominated space. And it was when I first started. And I didn't see many females in the UK actually doing FBA out there on social media. And now I'm seeing that space grow, and, you know, people messaging me and saying, your content's amazing. I want to do the same thing. How did you do it? Can you help me create a community for my FBA girls? It honestly, that is exactly why I started Jazz FBA, because it was hard. Like, speaking to wholesalers, for example, if I spoke to them, they wouldn't disrespect me. They wouldn't give me time of day. But if a friend of mine who's a male spoke to them, they'd get the respect, they'd get everything else. And it is, I think a lot of people underestimate that side of it. But that was my goal, is just to help as many females as possible, being like just growing as an individual, being that as FBA, being that a business opportunity. Come to me, talk to me. I have a lot of life experience now. Just ask me. And that is exactly what I want to help as many people as possible. So
That's really awesome of you. Yeah. A lot of respect there. And before we wrap up, so obviously you've mentioned that people can reach out to you. And also, like, I would say as well, like you gotta watch her content. It is awesome. And the editing skills as well on the videos are like top notch. And
massive shout
so
out to my editing team, Precision Edits. Like, they're amazing. So if you want to hit, just DM me and I'll tell you the details. But yeah, they're honest. They've been with me since the get-go. So yeah, honestly amazing. But it's not me. Just, I don't sit there editing my videos. I don't have time for that. I just about film them for you guys, but you guys like them, so I just do it.
where is it that people can find you? What's the names of your channels?
Jazz FBA on Instagram, Jazz FBA with 2 A's on TikTok, and that's it. Then if you need anything, then my 2 platforms that I'm on. So yeah.
Awesome. And again, I'm going to 100% vouch for Jasmine because her content is next level. And so before we wrap up and say goodbye, is there sort of like anything else, like any sort of like final points that you want to sort of like end it on?
You can be successful in Amazon FBA. It's not going to be easy, but if you want to be successful, you can be successful. I was not very academic back in school. I never thought I'd be in this position, but I made it work. And if I can do it, anyone can do it. Believe me. Just honestly reach out, get help, get yourself a mentor. I know a lot of people are against it because they want to keep that money for buying stock. But would you rather get yourself some help and not make them 100 mistakes you're going to make and lose that money, or would you rather make the mistakes? I know which one I'd choose. So
Yeah.
you know, just speak to as many people as you possibly can. Honestly, as mentors, or even though we're busy, we are always there to help, being that you're actually a student of ours or being that you're just someone who needs some advice. Just drop us a message. We're always here. But yeah, that's
That's
it.
awesome. Thank you very much. No, I really, really appreciate that. So yeah, everyone out there, you can do it. Thanks to everyone as well that watched. A massive thank you to Jasmine for coming on and joining me today. Really, really appreciate it. Can't emphasize that enough. If you want to catch up on any of the previous seller journeys, they are all in one convenient playlist, and I'll put a link to that in the description somewhere, as well as links to Jaz's social channels. So if you want to give her a follow, again, I'd heavily recommend it. It's all there in the description. Thanks again for watching. Thank you again, Jasmine. And I'll see everyone very soon. Bye.